The wind had teeth that night, the kind that chewed through wool and bone alike. And Elias, Crow, stood alone beside the hitching post as the last light drained from the prairie sky. His coat pulled tight, but his thoughts looser than he liked them. He'd learned long ago that silence was safer than kindness, that a man survived out here by minding his own shadow and keeping his heart locked behind his ribs. Yet when he turned toward the station door and heard the faintest sound behind him, a breath, almost lost to the wind, his body stilled before his mind could argue. "Sir," the voice whispered, barely there, trembling not with fear alone, but with cold that had gone too deep. "Can I slip under your coat?" He looked down and saw her then, a young woman wrapped in a dress too thin for the season, boots cracked, hair loose and dust-tangled, her eyes steady in a way that didn't match her shaking hands. Elias froze, not because the request was bold, but because it struck a place in him he had buried years ago, back when he still believed saving one person didn't cost you everything else. He knew what people would say if they saw him, knew the rumors that grew faster than wheat in bad soil, knew that helping her might drag trouble to his door like a blood trail. Yet the wind cut harder and she swayed, and something older than fear moved his arm as he opened his coat just enough to shield her, the heat of his body meeting the chill that clung to her like a curse. She didn't touch him more than she had to, didn't look up for thanks, just stood there breathing as if each breath was borrowed time. And when he finally spoke, it was only to say his name and ask hers. And she told him it was Mara, that she had come west with people who promised work and left her with nothing but miles and night. And as the station bell rang and the train's whistle cut the dark, Elias knew the quiet life he guarded so fiercely had already begun to crack, because some doors, once opened, even an inch, never truly closed again. They rode together after that, not close enough to invite questions, not far enough to pretend they were strangers. The train carrying them deeper into country where men asked fewer questions and answered even fewer, and Elias felt the weight of eyes on his back, though no one spoke. Because silence has a way of shouting when guilt walks beside it. Mara never begged, never cried, and that frightened him more than tears would have, because it meant she had already learned how useless they were. And when they reached the ranch at dawn, and the land opened wide and empty under a pale sky, he did something he had sworn never to do again. He offered shelter. Not promises, not affection, just a place to rest and work and be left alone. And she accepted with a nod, as if dignity was the last thing she owned, and she would not spend it cheaply. Days passed, then weeks, and the ranch changed in small ways. A second cup set out without thought, a light left burning, a room built off the barn with his own hands, because some kinds of protection needed walls, not words. People talked, of course they did. But Elias did not answer, and neither did Mara, because both of them knew survival sometimes meant choosing silence again and again. The night she finally asked why he had stopped, when she whispered in the cold, he took a long time before replying, staring out at land that had taken more from him than he cared to count. And when he spoke, it was only this, because once, a long time ago, no one stopped for me. She didn't reach for him, didn't need to, because the truth settled between them like the first warm day after winter. And as the sun rose over the ranch, Elias understood that strength wasn't in staying untouched, but in choosing, just once, to let humanity cost you something. And if this story stirred something in you, if you believe quiet courage still matters, then stay with us. Subscribe to the channel and keep walking these stories with us, because the ones that change us most are often spoken in whispers.